Aging is a journey filled with unexpected turns. One day you're busy, active, and needed by everyone around you. Then suddenly life slows down. The phone rings less often, the invitations dwindle, and you find yourself wondering when the spotlight moved on without you. It's easy to feel sidelined, like you've become invisible in a world that seems to move faster every day. But here's the twist: it doesn't have to be that way. What if the very things you've been struggling to accept about aging are actually the keys to living a more meaningful, joyful life? What if the problem isn't that life is fading, but that you've been looking at it through the wrong lens? Today we're going to talk about 5 harsh truths about getting older that no one likes to admit. These truths might make you uncomfortable at first, but they're not here to bring you down. They're here to wake you up. Because once you face them head on, you'll realize they hold the power to free you from years of unnecessary pressure, guilt, and doubt. Some of these truths will challenge how you see yourself. Others might even make you question everything you thought you knew about what it means to live a full life. And that's exactly why they matter. So, as we dive into each one, ask yourself, am I ready to confront these truths? Am I brave enough to embrace this new chapter and finally live life on my own terms? The answer may surprise you. Let's find out together. Here's the first truth, and it's one that can feel like a punch to the gut. You're no longer the center of attention. For years, your life was busy and full. Maybe you were raising a family, building a career, or staying active in your community. You were the person people turned to for advice, support, and guidance. There was always something that needed your attention: a phone call to answer, a meeting to attend, or a problem only you could solve. But one day, without any warning, things start to change. The phone stops ringing as often. Invitations become less frequent. The sense of urgency you once felt, always being needed, just fades. Suddenly, it feels like the world has moved on, leaving you behind. It's painful, isn't it? There's this quiet voice inside that whispers, maybe I'm not as important as I used to be. And before you know it, you're questioning your worth. Why don't they call anymore? Do I even matter? The temptation here is to cling tightly to the roles that once defined you, to seek validation through the same old patterns. But what if I told you that the answer isn't found by chasing after the past? The truth is, the world was never as focused on you as it seemed. Not because you weren't important, but because people have always been wrapped up in their own lives, just like you were in yours. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, once you stop measuring your worth by how much attention you receive, something magical happens. You start to experience freedom. Freedom from the constant pressure to please everyone, to meet impossible expectations, or to live up to roles you've outgrown. Think about it. How many moments of joy in your life were overshadowed by the fear of judgment? How many decisions were made based on what you thought others expected of you? Imagine what your life could look like if you let go of that weight. This is your chance to step into something new, to stop worrying about being in the spotlight and start focusing on what really matters: your happiness, your peace, and your authenticity. Here's where the twist comes in. Being out of the spotlight isn't a loss, it's a gift. It's an invitation to live life on your own terms. No more performing, no more pleasing, no more waiting for approval. Now you get to ask yourself the most important question of all: what do I want? In this stage of life, the quality of your connections matters far more than the quantity. Instead of chasing attention, you can pour your energy into the people and activities that bring you real joy. A morning spent in the garden, an afternoon with an old friend, a quiet moment watching the sunset, feeling at peace with yourself. Not because you're being noticed, but because you're fully present. And something beautiful happens when you step back from needing to be the center of attention. You begin to notice the world in a new way. You connect with younger generations not as a competitor for attention, but as a guide. Your stories, your wisdom, they become gifts that can inspire and ground others. You may no longer be the star of the show, but you've become something even more enduring, the foundation on which others can build their lives. And in that quiet, steady presence, there's a kind of peace you couldn't find before. So the question is, are you ready to embrace this new role? Are you ready to stop chasing the spotlight and start living for yourself? If you are, this can be the most fulfilling chapter of your life. Let's move on to the second truth. This one's a little tougher, but it holds the key to how you can live with strength and grace, even as the years go by. Here's the first truth, and it's one that can feel like a punch to the gut. You're no longer the center of attention. For years, your life was busy and full. Maybe you were raising a family, building a career, or staying active in your community. You were the person people turned to for advice, support, and guidance. There was always something that needed your attention. A phone call to answer, a meeting to attend, or a problem only you could solve. But one day, without any warning, things start to change. The phone stops ringing as often. Invitations become less frequent. The sense of urgency you once felt, always being needed, just fades. Suddenly, it feels like the world has moved on, leaving you behind. It's painful, isn't it? There's this quiet voice inside that whispers, maybe I'm not as important as I used to be. And before you know it, you're questioning your worth. Why don't they call anymore? Do I even matter? The temptation here is to cling tightly to the roles that once defined you, to seek validation through the same old patterns. But what if I told you that the answer isn't found by chasing after the past? The truth is, the world was never as focused on you as it seemed. Not because you weren't important, but because people have always been wrapped up in their own lives, just like you were in yours. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, once you stop measuring your worth by how much attention you receive, something magical happens. You start to experience freedom. Freedom from the constant pressure to please everyone, to meet impossible expectations, or to live up to roles you've outgrown. Think about it. How many moments of joy in your life were overshadowed by the fear of judgment? How many decisions were made based on what you thought others expected of you? Imagine what your life could look like if you let go of that weight. This is your chance to step into something new, to stop worrying about being in the spotlight and start focusing on what really matters: your happiness, your peace, and your authenticity. Here's where the twist comes in. Being out of the spotlight isn't a loss, it's a gift. It's an invitation to live life on your own terms. No more performing, no more pleasing, no more waiting for approval. Now you get to ask yourself the most important question of all: what do I want? In this stage of life, the quality of your connections matters far more than the quantity. Instead of chasing attention, you can pour your energy into the people and activities that bring you real joy. A morning spent in the garden, an afternoon with an old friend, a quiet moment watching the sunset, feeling at peace with yourself. Not because you're being noticed, but because you're fully present. And something beautiful happens when you step back from needing to be the center of attention. You begin to notice the world in a new way. You connect with younger generations not as a competitor for attention, but as a guide. Your stories, your wisdom, they become gifts that can inspire and ground others. You may no longer be the star of the show, but you've become something even more enduring, the foundation on which others can build their lives. And in that quiet, steady presence, there's a kind of peace you couldn't find before. So the question is, are you ready to embrace this new role? Are you ready to stop chasing the spotlight and start living for yourself? If you are, this can be the most fulfilling chapter of your life. Let's move on to the second truth. This one's a little tougher, but it holds the key to how you can live with strength and grace, even as the years go by. Here's the second truth, and this one might be hard to accept. Your body is changing, and it will never be the same again. There was a time when your body felt limitless. You could move without hesitation, climb stairs without thinking twice, and recover quickly from whatever life threw at you. But now things are different. The same legs that once carried you effortlessly might feel heavier. Everyday tasks, like bending down to tie your shoes, carrying groceries, or getting out of bed, can take more effort. You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and notice the changes. Wrinkles that weren't there before, gray hair replacing the youthful color, and skin that feels softer, less firm. Society tells us to fight these changes, to see them as signs of weakness or loss. And it's tempting to listen to those voices. But what if you saw it differently? What if every line, every scar, every gray hair was a testament to everything you've survived and experienced? Your body is not betraying you, it's telling your story. For most of our lives, we take our bodies for granted. We push through exhaustion, ignore warning signs, and assume we'll always bounce back. But as we age, our bodies ask something new from us: compassion and patience. Instead of seeing these changes as losses, what if you viewed them as reminders of how far you've come? That ache in your knee? It's proof of all the places you've walked, the paths you've taken, and the weight you've carried, both literally and figuratively. Those wrinkles? They're maps of every smile, every worry, and every lesson learned along the way. Of course, that doesn't mean ignoring your health. Now is the time to double down on self-care, not out of fear, but as an act of respect for the body that's carried you this far. Eating nourishing food, staying active in ways that feel good, and getting regular checkups aren't about chasing youth, they're about honoring where you are right now. Maybe it's time to switch the intense workouts for something gentler, like yoga, walking, or swimming. Or perhaps it's time to prioritize rest and stop feeling guilty for slowing down. These choices aren't signs of weakness, they're acts of wisdom. One of the biggest traps as we age is comparison. You might find yourself comparing your current body to the body you had 20 years ago, or worse, comparing yourself to others who seem to be aging differently. But that's a losing game. Every body is unique, shaped by its own history, challenges, and triumphs. Comparing yourself to your past self is like comparing a well-loved dog-eared book to a brand new one sitting on a shelf. The wear doesn't diminish its value, it enhances it. The real challenge and the real gift is learning to accept your body for what it is now, not what it used to be. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's learning to live in harmony with your body rather than fighting against it. And here's the twist. When you stop battling your body, you create space for something far more powerful: gratitude. Gratitude for the heart that still beats, for the hands that can hold loved ones, for the eyes that can witness another sunrise. When was the last time you truly thanked your body? Not criticized it, but genuinely appreciated it for everything it's done for you? Maybe it's time to start. Yes, your body has changed. And yes, it will continue to change. But that doesn't mean you've lost your strength. It means it's taken on a new form. A quieter, more enduring strength that comes from resilience, adaptation, and grace. This stage of life is an opportunity to redefine what strength looks like. It's no longer about pushing through pain or proving yourself. It's about listening to what your body needs and honoring its wisdom. So here's the question for you. Are you ready to embrace the changes with grace? Can you let go of who you used to be and celebrate who you are now? Because this new version of you has its own kind of beauty, one that doesn't fade with time but grows deeper with every step you take. Let's move on to the next truth. This one is perhaps the most painful, but it's also the most powerful if you're willing to confront it. Here's the third truth, and it might be the hardest one to face. Not everyone will walk this journey with you until the end. As we grow older, we experience a painful reality. Relationships change and people leave our lives. Friends who once laughed with you over coffee may drift away. Family members who were your anchors might move far or grow distant. And sometimes the loss is permanent, leaving an emptiness that feels impossible to fill. In your younger years, it was easy to take companionship for granted. Life was busy, full of gatherings, celebrations, and shared experiences. But with time, those circles grow smaller. The moments of solitude become more frequent, and the spaces once filled with laughter now feel quieter. The first instinct is to resist it, to fight against the silence, clinging to the memories of what once was. Grief sneaks in, not just for the people we've lost, but for the version of life that no longer exists. And that grief can feel overwhelming. But here's the truth. Grief is not something to rush through or push aside. It's a testament to the depth of love you've shared. The ache you feel is proof that those relationships mattered, that they left an imprint on your soul. Take a moment to reflect. Who are the people you've loved and lost? What lessons did they teach you? How did they shape the person you are today? Those memories, those moments of connection, are treasures that no amount of time or distance can erase. But here's where things take a surprising turn. While some people leave, others will enter your life in the most unexpected ways. A friendly conversation with a neighbor, a chance meeting at a local event, or a shared hobby can blossom into a new friendship. These new connections won't replace the old ones, but they can bring fresh joy and meaning. It's never too late to build new relationships. In fact, some of the deepest and most fulfilling connections can happen in later life, when you have the time and wisdom to truly appreciate them. And it's not just about finding new people, it's also about treasuring the ones who are still here. How often do we assume there's always more time? We think, I'll call them tomorrow or I'll visit next month. But life is unpredictable. Don't wait. Reach out to the people you care about. Make the call. Write the letter. Share how much they mean to you. These moments, small as they may seem, are what truly matter. A cup of tea with a friend. A heartfelt conversation with a loved one. These are the threads that weave the fabric of a meaningful life. But there's something else that's equally important. The relationship you have with yourself. Solitude doesn't have to mean loneliness. It can be a time for profound growth and self-discovery. Use this time to reconnect with the passions you once set aside. Write that memoir, plant that garden, or learn something new. The possibilities are endless. Here's a question. When was the last time you truly enjoyed your own company? Not distracted by TV or errands, but simply sat with yourself, reflecting, dreaming, or just being. The beauty of this stage of life is that you have the freedom to prioritize what makes you happy. You're no longer tied to the expectations of others. This is your time to nurture the most important relationship of all, the one with yourself. Yes, it's true that not everyone will be there forever. Some goodbyes will hurt more than others, and the losses will leave their mark. But every goodbye also opens space for something new, a new experience, a new connection, or a deeper appreciation for the present moment. Life isn't measured by how many people stay. It's measured by the depth of the connections we've had. So hold on to the memories, but don't forget to open your heart to new possibilities. The question is, are you ready to let go of what's gone and embrace what's still waiting for you? Now let's move on to the next truth. It's one that may feel overwhelming at times, but it holds the key to living with grace and resilience in an ever-changing world. Here's the fourth truth, and it's one that can feel relentless. Change is inevitable. The world around you doesn't stop shifting, no matter how much you wish it would slow down. Loved ones move away. Neighborhoods evolve. Technology transforms the way we live, connect, and experience the world. Even your own body and mind undergo changes that you didn't anticipate. In some ways, change feels like an unwelcome guest, constantly rearranging the life you once knew without asking for permission. It's unsettling. You want to hold on to the familiar, to cling to the routines, places, and relationships that once gave you comfort. But here's the harsh truth. Resisting change doesn't stop it. It only makes it harder to adapt. Think about all the times in your life when you faced unexpected change. Maybe it was a new job that forced you to leave behind familiar faces, or a move to a new city that felt terrifying at first. Perhaps it was a shift in your family dynamics, the children growing up and leaving home, or the loss of a partner. At the time, it might have felt insurmountable, but somehow you found a way to adapt. You grew stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Change, as painful as it can be, always brings an opportunity for growth. The key is learning how to flow with it rather than fight against it. For example, take the transition from a large, bustling family home to something smaller and quieter. It's easy to see this as a loss, a shrinking of your life. But what if it's actually a chance for freedom? Fewer responsibilities, less clutter, and more time to focus on what really matters. Or think about technology. It may feel intimidating, but embracing it could bring you closer to family and friends. Imagine video calls with your grandchildren across the country, or discovering a new passion through online communities. These changes aren't here to replace the old, they're here to add something new to your life. Here's the twist. Change doesn't just take things away, it also opens doors you never knew existed. Sometimes those doors lead to something even better. A closed chapter can make space for a new adventure, a new relationship, or a rediscovery of who you are outside of your old roles. Let me ask you, what change are you facing right now that feels overwhelming? What if, instead of resisting it, you chose to lean into it? What might you discover on the other side? It's natural to grieve the life you once had. That's part of the process. But once the grief subsides, you have a choice: to dwell in the past or embrace the present and all its possibilities. Embracing change doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means carrying its lessons with you while making room for what's next. Think about how nature adapts with each season. Trees shed their leaves in the fall, not because they're dying, but because they're preparing for new growth in the spring. The same is true for you. You're not losing something, you're evolving. And with each evolution, you gain a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Here's a secret most people don't realize. The more you adapt, the stronger you become. Every change you face adds to your resilience. Every challenge you overcome becomes another proof of your ability to thrive. You've done it before and you can do it again. This truth might seem daunting at first, but within it lies a gift. The more you embrace change, the more open you become to life's surprises. You discover parts of yourself you never knew existed, strengths, passions, and perspectives that wouldn't have emerged if everything stayed the same. So here's the real question. Are you willing to let go of the life you once knew in order to embrace what's waiting for you? It may not look like the life you imagined, but it might just be exactly what you need. Let's move on to the final truth. This one ties everything together. It's the secret to happiness, something you've had within you all along. Here's the final truth, and it's the most empowering one. Happiness is a choice. It's easy to believe happiness is something that just happens. Something that comes when life goes our way, when we avoid loss, and when everything feels perfect. But life rarely works like that, especially as we get older. There are aches, losses, and moments of loneliness that can make happiness seem out of reach. But here's the secret. Happiness isn't about avoiding life's challenges. It's about how we choose to respond to them. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how you see it. Even in the hardest moments, there's always something to be grateful for. Small moments that make life beautiful. The warmth of the morning sun on your face. The laughter of a grandchild. The joy of finishing a good book. When was the last time you truly paused to savor those moments? It's easy to overlook them, but these are the threads that weave a joyful life. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for finding happiness. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already there. Even on the toughest days, there's something worth appreciating. A friend's phone call, a fond memory, or simply the fact that you've made it through another challenge. And just as important as gratitude is letting go of regrets. By now, you've lived through your share of mistakes and missed opportunities. But carrying that weight only drags you further from the joy you deserve. Forgive yourself for what didn't go as planned. Let go of the what-ifs and the idea that life should have been different. Imagine this, you're standing in the rain. One person curses the storm, seeing only discomfort. Another marvels at the smell of fresh earth and the life-giving power of water. Same rain, two different experiences. Happiness works the same way. It's not about what happens to you, it's about how you choose to see it. Perspective is everything. The more you practice seeing life through a lens of gratitude and acceptance, the easier it becomes to find happiness in even the smallest things. This stage of life offers something precious, freedom. Freedom from the pressures and expectations that once weighed you down. Freedom to decide how you want to spend your time, who you want to be around, and what truly makes you happy. So here's the big question, what will you do with that freedom? Will you focus on what's gone, or will you embrace the life that's still unfolding before you? Happiness doesn't mean life is perfect. It means finding joy despite the imperfections. And when you choose to see life through that lens, you not only change your own experience but inspire those around you to do the same. This truth might feel simple, but it's the foundation of everything. Happiness has always been within your reach. It's up to you to claim it. Now that we've uncovered these 5 truths, the next step is up to you. Which truth resonated with you most? What will you do differently starting today? Let's reflect together. Now that we've explored these 5 truths, you might feel a mix of emotions. Relief, discomfort, hope. That's perfectly normal. These truths aren't easy to face, but once you do, they offer something powerful. The chance to live fully and authentically. Think of your life as a book. The earlier chapters were filled with responsibilities and roles you played for others. Raising a family, building a career, meeting expectations. Those chapters were valuable, but this next one? It's yours to write. What will you do with this freedom? It's time to reclaim what brings you joy. Remember the hobbies you set aside? The dreams you postponed? Now is your chance to pick them back up. It doesn't have to be grand. Small things, like gardening, painting, or exploring new places, can bring profound happiness. Strengthen the relationships that matter most. Call that old friend. Spend time with your family. Join a local club or group to meet new people. The depth of these connections will bring more meaning than the number of people in your life ever could. And finally, embrace change with grace. Life is always evolving. Fighting change only creates stress. Flow with it and you'll find new opportunities waiting for you. What might feel like an ending could actually be a beginning. This stage of life is your opportunity to live on your own terms, to follow what makes you happy, to build something new. You've earned this freedom. So what will you do next? Now that you've faced these 5 truths, the question is simple. What will you do next? Will you embrace this chapter with courage and curiosity? Or will you hold on to what no longer serves you? Remember, happiness is a choice, and this stage of life is your opportunity to choose it. Moment by moment, step by step. Start small. Maybe today it's about taking 5 minutes to reflect on what truly brings you joy. Maybe it's making that phone call you've been putting off or giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Every small action is a step toward living more authentically. This journey isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about appreciating the moments that make life beautiful. The laughter of a friend, the warmth of the sun on your face, the satisfaction of a good meal shared with someone you love. You've already proven your strength and resilience countless times. You've adapted, grown, and thrived through life's challenges. This chapter is no different. The best part? You're still writing your story. So I leave you with this. Which truth resonated with you most? Take a moment, reflect, and share in the comments below. Let's support each other on this journey. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Together, we can build a community of wisdom, resilience, and joy. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life fully, on your own terms.